98 triệu dân phẫn nộ lên án người Việt buôn lậu thuốc trị Covid cực độc của Trung Quốc về tự hại chết nhau. Thưa quý vị, dịch bệnh thật tàn khốc, nó đã gây ra biết bao nhiêu đau thương mất mát, không chỉ về vật chất mà thậm chí là cả tính mạng của mấy chục ngàn người dân vô tội. Trong bối cảnh đất nước lâm nguy, ngàn cân treo sợi tóc, gần 600.000 người nhiễm Covid-19, nếu như có loại thuốc đặc trị căn bệnh quái ác này thì thật tốt biết bao nhiêu. Lợi dụng lòng dân đang mong mỏi từng ngày thoát khỏi thảm kịch Covid, không ít kẻ vô lương tâm, thiếu đạo đức đã tranh thủ làm những điều bán nước hại dân để trục lợi cá nhân mình. Mới đây, cơ quan chức năng vừa phát hiện số lượng lớn thuốc nghi nhập lậu từ Trung Quốc. Số thuốc này khi bán ra được giới thiệu là thuốc điều trị Covid-19. Cụ thể, các lực lượng chức năng bất ngờ kiểm tra xe tải biển kiểm soát 51D483 tại khu vực quận 8 thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và phát hiện 400 hộp thuốc. Người điều khiển xe tải trên khai lấy hàng từ kho của công ty trách nhiệm hữu hạn thương mại sản xuất T có trụ sở trên đường số 3 Bình Trị Đông B, quận Bình Tân, thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Đoàn tiếp tục kiểm tra kho hàng của công ty này trên đường Tạ Quang Bửu, quận 8, thành phố Hồ Chí Minh thì phát hiện tiếp 9.200 hộp thuốc cùng loại. Theo đoàn kiểm tra, toàn bộ số thuốc trên đều không có hóa đơn chứng từ, nguồn gốc xuất xứ cũng như chưa từng được đăng ký lưu hành tại Việt Nam. Thuốc có nhãn hiệu bằng chữ Trung Quốc, được gọi là Liên Hoa Thanh Ôn. Loại thuốc này khi thị trường tiêu thụ được quảng cáo có tác dụng điều trị Covid-19, nhưng thực tế thì hoàn toàn chả trị được bệnh gì ngoài lừa tiền nhân dân. Chúng tôi chẳng biết là do cuộc sống nghèo khổ thiếu thốn phải đi làm những việc thiếu đạo đức này để kiếm kế sinh nhai, hay là do muốn làm phản, thiếu lương tâm mà những kẻ này lại có thể nhập lậu hàng Trung Quốc về Việt Nam cho người dân sử dụng. Nhưng đây là hành vi sai cả về mặt pháp luật lẫn nhân phẩm đạo đức của con người. Cùng là một người dân trên đất nước, là đồng bào một dân tộc mà lại làm những trò mưu hèn kế bẩn để tiếp tay cho Trung Quốc hại người dân Việt Nam ta là một hành động không thể chấp nhận được. Nếu như cơ quan chức năng không kịp thời bắt được và xử lý, thì liệu số thuốc này đang ở trong bụng bao nhiêu người dân vô tội, để rồi chưa chết vì dịch bệnh thì đã chết vì những loại thuốc nhãn hiệu điều trị Covid-19 xuất xứ từ anh bạn láng giềng Trung Hoa. Những trường hợp này đề nghị nhà nước cần xử lý nghiêm minh, tránh trường hợp lặp lại thêm một lần nào nữa. Thông tin sẽ được ban biên tập chương trình cập nhật liên tục. Cảm ơn quý vị và các bạn đã quan tâm theo dõi video. Đừng quên ấn nút đăng ký kênh và ấn vào chuông thông báo để cập nhật những tin tức mới nhất mỗi khi kênh của chúng tôi lên sóng quý vị nhé. Còn bây giờ thì xin chào và hẹn gặp lại quý vị trong những video tiếp theo.
Rồi bây giờ tiếp tục món thứ hai. Đó, còn ngâm vô một cái tên là Protected people in the world. Vladimir Putin. With over 3,000 bodyguards, with armored cars and a dedicated security unit that gathers information on perceived threats, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, is the most protected person in the world. Vladimir Putin is protected by the Federal Protective Service like other political leaders in Russia, but the president's people seem to be an entirely different bundle altogether. Little is known about the workings of Putin's arm in the Federal Protective Service, and it is so confidential that only assumptions can be made on what they do. There is absolutely no public data on their activities, and there are no publicly accessible reports. Putin has been a controversial figure and a center of media attention since his first acting presidency. Similar to a few previous leaders, it was noticed that he had begun to develop a sort of personality cult around him. Even though there are no huge sculptures of him being out up, in his own power he has become an internet icon, and that has kept him in the public realm. Everyone is aware of the political and financial corruption of his cabinet, and the populist perception of the president is highly divided. This results in endless threats of demonstrations and assassination attempts. And that is why it is necessary for Putin to take care of his security in his own way. Donald Trump. The most protected billionaire in the world and a former USA president, Donald Trump is guarded by around 1,000 bodyguards and has an annual budget of around $120 million for his protection. And have you heard of the Beast? It is the most secured car in the world and is believed to be bomb-proof. That car is used by Donald Trump. As of 2021, the estimated net worth of Donald Trump is 240 crores USD. He is an American real estate businessman and, as mentioned earlier, the former president of the US. The annual budget of Barack Obama was $16 million US, but within 10 weeks of being in office, he had increased the budget to $29 million US. Then, in 2017, the US ultimately, Congress passed a federal budget bill that shelled out $120 million for President Trump and his family for a year. As Trump is a businessman as well, during his term, he also visited his estates. So, he used to constantly move between the White House and its extended estates. Also, his family preferred living outside the White House and therefore, extra security was needed for them. Kim Jong-un. He would have come under the category of the most protected president, but since it is a known fact that his rule is similar to that of a dictator, he is put in the category of the most protected dictator in the world. Kim Jong-un has always been a controversial leader and the world became fascinated to know about him and his rule. During a visit to Singapore, when people saw his security squad running alongside his armored limousine, they wanted to know more about his security and protection. He is constantly paranoid about his safety and therefore takes utmost care of his protection. He has a personal Secret Service force protecting him from close and confined range, and along with that, he also has his own army of 100,000 people with a command structure that communicates and reports directly to him. This unit is identified as the Supreme Guard Command. And most of the time, you won't be able to tell that his army is surrounding him as they virtually disappear into the background. This unit is also used as a propaganda tool. He is trying to convey the idea of his importance by showing that he is untouchable, but in reality, he is just trying to protect his regime from inside sabotage. Queen Elizabeth II. The first UK monarch to celebrate a Sapphire Jubilee, Queen Elizabeth II is the most protected sovereign in the world. She completed 65 years of rule in 2017, and if she is alive by 2022, she will be the first UK monarch to celebrate a Platinum Jubilee. The Queen is protected by the Royal Guard. Royal Guard is a name given to the soldiers and troops that you would most likely remember as standing guard at the royal residences. Then there are foot guards that patrol the perimeters of the royal residences. You might recognize them as the guards who wear red tunics and tall bearskin caps. Marines are FA agents, and depending on the task and the royal family's mode of travel, Navy fleets have been mounted to the Queen's Guard and they have posted at Pocket Bank, Tower of London's Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, etc. The budget of the Queen's protection is something that we can't even imagine. She has kept her protection expenditure private. Around 11 years back, in 2010, it was assumed that providing round-the-clock protection for 21 members of the royal family would cost about £100 million British pounds. The 10 most powerful armed forces in the world. 10. Pakistan. Pakistan has been consistently ranked high for having one of the largest militaries in the world. Currently, the Pakistani military is one of the topmost forces in active personnel at 654,000. The country boasts of 2,200 tanks, 582 aircraft, and powerful defense helicopter fleets. Pakistan spends around $10.3 billion on its armed forces, and it is estimated that within the following decade, this country could have the world's third largest nuclear arsenal. 9. Brazil. When it comes to military strength, Brazil has rapidly progressed to gain an entry on the list of topmost players. The country spends over $26 billion on defense. The Brazilian armed forces are the second largest in the Americas after the USA and the largest in Latin America. It boasts of over 334,500 active duty troops and officers, 439 tanks, 715 aircraft, 112 commissioned ships, and 6 submarines. 8. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom remains a powerful country when it comes to defence forces. The British Armed Forces comprise over 196,000 active personnel. The most significant troops include the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, and the Special Air Service, which is an elite regiment of the British Army. The UK has 227 tanks, 601 aircraft, 10 submarines, and 2 aircraft carriers. 7. France. In 2021, France has maintained its stronghold when it comes to military power. Despite being relatively small, the French military is known to be highly trained, professional, and fully capable of force projection. It is known to spend $50 billion annually on defense. The French armed forces comprise 203,750 active personnel. France has 406 tanks, 687 aircraft, 10 in-service submarines, and 1 aircraft carrier. 6. South Korea. South Korea has one of the most formidable countries for a neighbor, North Korea. So, it has to be on toes and equipped with powerful military forces. Annually, the country spends about $50 billion on defense and has acquired many high-tech, modernized equipment over the years. The Republic of Korea Armed Forces has 555,000 active frontline personnel and has become one of the largest standing armed forces in the world. The country has 2,500 tanks, 700 aircraft, 18 submarines, and 12 destroyers. 5. Japan. Japan has a small but extremely well-equipped military. The Japan Self-Defense Forces spend $50.3 billion annually. It has over 247,150 active personnel in 3 service branches: Ground Self-Defense Force, Maritime Self-Defense Force, and Air Self-Defense Force. The Japanese military has 1,004 tanks, 1,480 aircraft including 162 special mission aircraft, 37 destroyers, 20 submarines, and also the 4th largest helicopter in the world. 4. India. The Indian Armed Forces consist of the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force. India's annual military expenditure is around $67 billion and is known to spend heavily on modernized equipment. India also has the second largest number of active military personnel in the world at 1,455,550. The Indian Armed Forces boast of 4,730 tanks, 542 combat aircraft, 17 submarines, 1 aircraft carrier, and a powerful fleet of naval ships. 3. China. The Chinese military has consistently grown to become a powerful player in terms of size and strength. The People's Liberation Army of China ranks first at a whopping 2,035,000 active personnel in service. China also takes the second place in military expenditure and spends around $209.4 billion annually. The Chinese forces have spent an enormous amount on modernized military technologies, including ballistic missiles and fifth-generation aircraft. China has 9,150 tanks, over 3,370 aircraft, 70 submarines, and 2 aircraft carriers. 2. Russia. The Russian armed forces have unquestionably maintained their position as the second largest military power. Russia boasts of the world's largest tactical